Hey y'all, it's Laura Rose, and I'm on week 5 of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and this week was titled Recovering a Sense of Possibility. Beginning of my week, interesting. End of my week, really good. Part of it was, it's like Easter weekend, so I get like some time off work. Always great. Love that. And the Sunday is 420. So yay for that. Yay for all of that. I feel like I had a pretty decent week. This was the first week of the book that I felt like, okay, now we're like building towards something. And I think I talked about this last week, but I might have cut it out just because, again, that was an hour long and y'all didn't need to hear that rant. But up to this point, I really feel like it was really like, okay, which I think there's definitely place for that. I just have already like kind of done some of that stuff on my own before I came to this journey of like, okay, these are the things I don't like. These are the habits that don't work. These are the people that don't work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and this like goal I have. And so I feel like this is the first time in the book where I'm like, okay, we're, instead of like deconstructing and taking out, now we're like adding things in and building and that kind of thing. And I gotta say, like, over half this book is just like convincing you of like the morning pages and the artist's date, I feel like. So, like, if you have a pretty good handle on that within, like, the first week, like, you're golden. I feel like a lot of her, like, which, too, it's kind of funny how amazed this woman is with the morning pages, and it's just journaling. Like, girl, you're just journaling. Quick acting like it's, like, this spiritual connection with God. Like, that journaling can be that, too. But also, like, you didn't invent morning pages, and morning pages are just in journaling. So, that aside, let's get into it. So she talks, this chapter, she talks a lot about like abundance, which that was something that I really struggled with. Like if you go a lot, like by the internet definition, if you have anxiety, you cannot be abundant. Like, if you go by like the influencer internet like definition of like abundance, and I feel like it's very you put an intention out there and then you just forget about it and it will magically come true. And if you have any doubt in your mind, which I feel like a lot of self-help books are kind of like that, like old self-help books. Like if you look at like The Secret, it's like if you have any doubt in your mind, and it's like people have intrusive thoughts, normal people have intrusive thoughts, and then if you have anxiety, those intrusive thoughts are just like maximalized. So I do feel like in comparison to like books like The Secret or internet spirituality, like surface level internet spirituality, I think there is good spiritualist people on the internet. That being said, I feel like this is a much better view on like abundance than that. And I feel like I kind of already was taking steps to like this definition of abundance, just because obviously like I have anxiety. So like the internet's definition of abundance did not work for me. Like I'm not a lucky girl syndrome type thing. Like I'm going, like and that's part of it too, is like with this stuff and like my art and stuff, like I want to put in the work. Like I want to be passionate about like the process and like doing the work rather than like getting to the end or the results of the work. And maybe that's where I need to reframe. That's part of reframing my mind, is like the thing I'm manifesting is the opportunity to work, not the results of the working. So something to think about. But basically she said, she talks a lot about like, and she definitely uses this in reference of like, God loves everybody, God has space for everybody, God has love for everybody. So like there's no reason to be like competitive or feel like because you're successful or somebody else is successful, then like that success is not there for others to take. And I think that's something too that I had to take a lot of time to like work through. So she talks a lot about that. So like don't limit your abundance, don't be afraid to get too successful. And I think that's something I've seen a lot about like when people are like doing social media coaching and stuff like that, of like to a certain extent, you kind of have thresholds in your brain, not like once I get to this specific number, blah, 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 blah. Like you kind of have that, but you also kind of have like thresholds in your brain that are like, I don't know what it looks like it's very like unknown territory what it looks like to be at this level of success or have this many people following me or that type of thing. And again, I've heard a lot of people talk about like once they hit that threshold that like they will all of a sudden like be very avoidant of that like thing that brought them that success, or spend the money like in a weird way where it wasn't really like beneficial to them long term, / like, you know, to a certain extent I think you should have like a little bit of fun with your money, but yeah, I think that's something I've kind of been thinking about a lot. And I think too, like that's been my struggle because like in all honesty, I've been like working on like advertising on social media for, you know, since my freshman year of high school, which would have been like 2014. So, yeah, I feel like I've been like half-assing it for a really long time because a lot of it was I was scared for people to actually see my stuff, and I also was like didn't know who I wanted to be on the internet or what I wanted to put out on there, and I didn't want to get locked into something, you know, when I was like 15 that I wasn't really like actually like that's not actually what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Or a large period of time. It wasn't like my end goal. And I think, you know, I think it was good. I think my timing's good. Like, I'm happy I'm coming to the internet at this time with like this amount of experience under my belt and, stepping into like what I really want to be doing at this period of my life. But I think like at the end of the abundance section, it's allowing the universe to give you the how and you giving up that control. I think that was a big thing too. Like I talked about, I think earlier in this process where I was like learning how much I was like trying to control things and trying to like let go of that feeling of needing to control things. And that definitely was a big key in my like one ability, like trust that like, you know, even if I don't have absolute control of things, like I trust myself to react appropriately or within my best interest to like the present situation or, you know, what's going on with me now, versus like prior to that, it was very like, okay, if I have everything in absolute control, then I will be able to like do the things that I want to do. And so it was like putting all this work into trying to control things that I can't control or I shouldn't control. And I think take the action, do what you can, but also don't try to like over manipulate or control the situation. Get like, set yourself up for opportunities to come, like be prepared for opportunities to come, and then like wait for them to come basically. Like that's in the universe's hands of like when you get the opportunities, but it's up to you to be prepared for the opportunities and to take the opportunities. And I think I was trying to control all three of like being prepared for the opportunities, taking the opportunities, and also like creating the opportunities. And like to a certain extent, like being prepared for the opportunity creates the opportunity. Therefore, like you shouldn't need to control to create the opportunity. If that makes sense. And that's definitely not all from this book. I think I've seen a lot of other things that have like if you get really deep into the abundance stuff, I think I've seen other people like explain it in similar ways and maybe more in a more modern sense. Especially too, like I think social media totally changes like the wealth of opportunity, and technology definitely changes like the wealth of opportunity. And then she kind of she goes into another section, but she talks about shifts to spiritual dependency, which I thought was really interesting, especially considering like the whole first half of the book is like up to this point, like the first 4 chapters are like, you're codependent with these nasty, terrible people. So, and then this chapter is like, instead you should be codependent with a religious figure. Didn't love that, but I do get what she's saying of like, instead of looking, what she's trying to say, I feel like, and I could be wrong, but what I feel like she's trying to say is that instead of looking for external validation or external like people to meet your needs or to try to control things externally, like just focus on yourself and focus on what you can control within yourself. So I can't control my emotions, but I can control how I react to my emotions. And to me, like spiritual dependency like breaks down into 2 things. Action, which is like refining your routines and awareness of yourself. And the second is your mindsets, which is, and she says this in the book of being, oh gosh, what's the quote? Holding a light attitude of gentle exploration, we can begin to lean into creative expansion. And I really love that quote, and I think it's a good mindset, and I think that's what she's been trying to get at with all the like morning pages and like letting go of your process and not trying to control other people's like opinions on your process is just like having this mindset of being generous with yourself and and curious about, as much as you can be curious about. I think like that stems so much from like art, is just being curious about like a relationship, a specific emotion, a specific way. Like I remember a lot of like my art at the beginning of like my visual arts journey was like, I want to understand how light works. I want to understand how housing structures work and all the details of that, and like really be able to like focus and soak up all that like information. And art was just my way to like focus on that, because I was like doing something with my hand but also thinking. So much of my art came from just like genuine curiosity of like, what is this emotion like? What does this emotion feel like? Even like my silly little books that I wrote in like high school were very much like exploring like, what is it like to be in a romantic relationship? Like, what does that mean? What do I want out of a romantic relationship? What are my interactions with these like specific religions and theologies and that type of thing. So I think that's almost the key to the entire book. At least so far, I feel like that's the key to the entire book, is what are morning pages? Being curious about yourself and what's on your mind and allowing yourself space to like explore that. What are artist dates? giving yourself time to like be curious and self-reflective about yourself. Her one don't do this is the virtue trap. And I definitely for a fact know that I have spent some time like getting caught up in that, and I think like I'm better about now of like, hey, I have needs too, and I have time, because I think especially too if you're like somebody who like exists in a big family or a family where like it's so important to be like supportive of each other, and that support a lot looks like time and energy and emotions going towards like your family. Just keep that in mind of like, don't just fill your time with other people's stuff just to fill your time. And don't just fill your time with other people's stuff because you feel like you should. Like, do the things that you actually feel like you should do. And then make sure, like, it is so important. And I think that's something, too, that I've, like, learned over the past year or so and, like, really struggled with is, like, it's so important for you to, again, feel abundance in yourself. And that is the only trickle-down economy that works. It is the only trickle-down economy that works is if you feel abundant and you have a lot of like love and abundance and curiosity for your life and what's going on with you, then that will like trickle to like your environment and your just like the opportunities you're getting and that type of thing of like, you know, if you can invest in yourself, if you can like take time to like self-reflect and build these skills that you want to build and put like energy and time into your cup for yourself, then like you will feel better. Therefore, like you have more energy and emotional like time to support other people in your life, and you can be of support to those other people. Don't set yourself up for lack. Her example is like, don't babysit your sister's kids every weekend because she wants to go out. Do it once a month, and then you get to go out all the other weekends, you know? I think that's like a very fair trade of like, you still supporting your community. She didn't say that. I think like a community is important, and you still supporting your community, but also like giving yourself, like, I think you can do both. I think she comes from a place of like, either you're an artist and you're by yourself and you're a lone wolf, or you're so enmeshed with your community you aren't even an individual. And I think there's a happy medium. I think you can like support the people in your life while also like supporting yourself, and I think it's important to do both. So, with the virtue trap comes, are you self-destructive? And I think that's a really important one that like, I think that was something that I really like 2020 hit, and I feel like a lot of people did. Like 2020 hit, and like the virtue trap and this like self-destructive aspect where like, whoa, I thought I was doing what I should be doing, or I thought I was doing what I wanted to be doing, but I actually wasn't. So she asks you to like really reflect of like, are you self-destructive? And not in like the society standards of like, do you have a job? Do you take care of the people you need to in your life? Like kids or parents or etc. What she means by self-destructive is, are you filling up your own cup? And I think that was an interesting point to make, like this far into the book, especially in the sense of like her interaction with other people up until this point in the book, because I don't know, my whole summarization of her interaction with other people and her like telling you how to interact with other people, I feel like she's very black and white about it. And at the end of the day, Julia, I think you just need to set some boundaries. Like, I think you need to be better about setting boundaries. Like, you don't have to to babysit your sister's kids every single weekend, you tell your sister, you get 1 week in a month that I will babysit your kids. Or not even a weekend. Like, maybe you say one night a month that I will babysit your kids, and then you need to find somebody else. Like, it's not your job to babysit their kids totally, but, like, you know, it would be cool. Like, maybe you do want a relationship with your sister's kids, or a relationship with your sister like that, where she comes and babysits your kids once a month, and maybe that's the new deal. And you just have to be brave enough to set those boundaries and trust that, like, if people really want to be in a relationship with you, they'll, like, follow those boundaries. And again, that was something in 2020 that I was like, oh, I should set boundaries. That was a tangent. This entire chapter has been a tangent. So I'm not going to go crazy into the tasks. I feel like I'm kind of over the tasks. Some of them are like really repetitive of like, list 5 more hobbies that you want to do. And I gotta say, I've done a lot of hobbies, and I'm not scared to like pick up a hobby. I did like, one of the tasks she talks about is like, list 5 reasons you can't believe in a supportive universe, source, or she uses God, but I like believe more in like a universe aspect. And it was really interesting. I think a lot of it was just like, and I think that's something too that I've been like working on of like, okay, why don't I trust the universe? Is it like a me problem, or is it the universe problem? And most of it are me problems, but and I think that was something too of like I don't, like, as I was writing them down, it was like, I don't actually believe this. Like, I like kind of towards the end, I like was struggling to come up with reasons why I didn't like trust the universe. And, you know, I don't know. I think like I felt like before, like, which is so dramatic, was like, if I trust the universe, then I'm gonna either die or be unhappy, because that's like trusting myself, and I can't do that. And I think like in trusting myself, I'm able to trust the universe too, because like I trust the universe. I don't know. Again, a tangent. But it's for you to kind of discover like your relationship with the universe, and I thought that was really helpful. And then she talks about like 10 ways I'm mean to myself. I think that was a good one, especially in this chapter of like the virtue trap of like, what do you tell yourself you should be or shouldn't do, or etc. I don't know. It was an interesting chapter. I feel like it's like kind of starting to go the direction that's like more helpful for me. Which I feel like, I don't know. I've been keeping up on the Dochi one, like doing hers kind of alongside mine. Like I'll watch her video after I film this one, just so I'm not like repeating what she says. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like has been like very like a good like growth period for me, like doing this book. But in the same vein, I also feel like I've been trying to do the things from this book for the past like 2 to 3 years. And so like to a certain extent, like I think a lot of people come into it like so like they've done none of the work, and so it is like a supercharge of like self-help. And like a 12-week course period of like growth. And I'm sure that's a lot, not just like specifically talking about Dochi, but like a lot of people have talked, like Jenna Fisher has talked about like doing the artist way and how that's like immensely helped her as like an actor, and that type of thing. Just a bunch of people have talked about the artist way. And I think I expected it to be more like, and I think that's why at the beginning I was like, I don't know, like grappling with this like weird, like, do I trust this process or not? Like, is it doing enough for me? and this is definitely part of like her like growth of like, it's not like completely linear. You're not just like, shoot, and you're the most artistic you've ever been. Like, you're gonna have like plateau periods. But I don't know. I just like, I think like I felt like I was like gonna come out and be like, I don't even know what type of artist I'm gonna end up at the end of this. And it's been good and surprising, not necessarily like I think like at the beginning of this process I would have seen it as a bad way, but it's not a bad way. Of just like, it's less of like discovering this whole other person that I thought I was going to be, or discovering like a new me, and more just like bringing out the parts of myself that I didn't know like existed, or like that, not even that, because that's untrue. Bringing out the parts of myself that I knew existed, but I was scared to like face, if that makes sense. And obviously I will have a checkup in 2 weeks. I feel like I will be able to speak on this more, but it definitely is just like rediscovering parts of myself that like I felt really connected to as like a kid, and obviously like through living and life and society, that I've like suppressed or tried to get rid of, or just like went dormant for safety reasons. I feel like this process has been less of a like finding a new phase of life, finding a new person to be, and more of like rediscovering parts of myself. And hopefully like within the integration, like I'll be like discovering new ways to like incorporate that stuff into my art, or incorporate the things that I've like discovered about myself and discovered that I like, and discover my interest, or kind of rediscovered, because I think too, like to a certain extent, like there were things that like, I mean, like there were mindsets that I liked that I had as a kid, and I would like to reintegrate some of those things back in. But to a certain extent too, like I've also learned about a lot of things and discovered a lot of aspects of culture that like I love to include in my art now, that I think like I was kind of interested in as a kid, but I didn't really have like the tools or access to like really dive deep into those things. And so like in a certain way, like they're not new, like this isn't new stuff, but it's also like it's grounding, coming forth in my art, in my mind, like integrating into myself, all in like new ways, if that makes sense. So I don't know, that's interesting. Love to hear your thoughts. That's basically it. Like this video, please, please. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more Artist Way and creative stuff, and check out my other videos, weeks 1 through 4 if this is the first one you're stumbling on. And have a great day. I am. So you better do it.